My people, we are in need of legal advice here. Today's video, we're talking about law. Imagine two people went out to drink or they went to party, a boy and a girl, and they're both drunk, both of them, on the same level, drunk. But then the next day, one person, that is the guy, was charged rape. So now our sister is asking that how can two people drunk, confirmed drunk, the lady could not consent. Of course, the guy could not consent because he's drunk as well. And the next day, the guy was charged rape. Let me read this clip for you all to watch to the end. So, for more context, and I'll be back at the end of the video.
So, have y'all seen this before? So, it looks like an older poster, but this is the first time I was seeing it. So, y'all look at this with me real quick, right? It says, Jake was drunk. Josie was drunk. Jake and Josie hooked up. Josie could not consent. The next day, Jake was charged. A woman who is intoxicated cannot give her legal consent. Okay? Y'all see the poster, right? I have some questions for legal TikTok. So let's break this down from the top. It says Jake was drunk, Josie was drunk. So they're starting off on equal footing, right? Then it says Jake and Josie hooked up. It doesn't say that anybody was passed out. It doesn't say that anybody was forced. It says Jake and Josie hooked up. Cool. Josie could not consent. How is it that Josie could not consent, but Jake could? Like, if they were both drunk. Somebody explain that part to me, because that's the part that I start to get lost, right? Let's go to the next part. The next day, Jake was charged. Okay. So even though they both hooked up, we're saying Josie could not consent. And because Josie could not consent, Jake was charged. Let's look at the bottom. A woman who is intoxicated cannot give her legal consent. So are they saying that a man who is intoxicated can give his legal consent? Because that doesn't make sense to me. For a society that loves to cry equal rights and women's rights and feminism, how is it that in a situation like this, the two are not on equal footing? When again, it doesn't say that anyone was passed out. It doesn't say that anyone was forced. It says they were both drunk, but she could not give consent. So legally, I'm talking to anyone who has any kind of legal expertise, legal background. Legally, if they had woken up the next morning and he decided that he was taken advantage of in a vulnerable state, does he have the right to press charges? Or is it only the woman who has the right to press charges? Because that's not fair. That doesn't make sense. Him getting charged in that situation doesn't make sense because, again, they were both on equal footing. So I need somebody to break that down for me because it don't make sense.
Hey, beautiful people, how are you all doing today? It's your girl, Mariah David, and I'm back again with another interesting video. I have interesting reaction, interesting stitches to share with you all. People were giving their 2 cents, and I feel like me and you can learn from it. So let's go ahead and watch the stitches together, and I'll be back to share my own opinion at the end of the video. But then, what is your take on this legal advice? Can you put your thoughts down in the comment section while we watch the stitches together?
As Jake was drunk, Josie was drunk. Jake and Josie hooked up.
So, I usually don't have much to add to these type of things, but that was a poster I believe that they showed while I was in the military, and we did have a guy that asked that exact same question about if they're both drunk, how is it that she's unable to consent? And let me tell you what our instructor told us. Literally, the instructor who was teaching about sexual assault and that type of awareness, he said it's whoever makes it to legal first. Okay. So whoever charges the other person first. So they recognize that men may be assaulted in those situations, women may be assaulted in those situations, or feel that they're assaulted. It's whoever makes it to the cops first. The more you know.
Josie could not consent.
Unfortunately for the poster, that's not how the law works. Legally, When you become an adult, you lose your ability to remove consent and culpability for actions you take. The voluntary consumption of alcohol or drugs makes you immediately culpable for any actions that you commit under the influence of said substances because competent adults of legal age know that alcohol and drugs negatively affects their ability to make rational decisions. Think of it this way. Jake and Josie both drank. Both consented to hook up while impaired. But Jake became a criminal and Josie became a victim for a decision both of them made. That's called a double standard.
So y'all look at this with me real quick, right? It says Jake.
Hey y'all, it's Mick. It's Saturday morning. I just tripped across a TikTok video that brought up a real sore situation that I happen to be involved with at least twice in my life as a criminal trial lawyer. And it's one that I have never found a satisfactory answer to. This is a situation from the original video. If you watch that, it had to do with two individuals, a man and a woman, both getting drunk and having sex. And the next morning, the woman claims rape, and the man is charged with SA. And why she could not give consent, which is why he was charged with a crime and she was not. And why wasn't he given the same rights of being unable to give consent? I had two situations involving that. They both happened to be with black men and white women, both at a university or around a university. I have never been happy with the situation because it claimed that the woman could not give consent. The worst situation was a young athlete, and this girl were both at a party. They were both drinking heavily, and witnesses said that she was really enjoying his attention, and he was obviously enjoying hers. She was sitting on his lap. She had her hands all over her. She was obviously in a mood. The two of them ended up back in his room, and in the middle of the encounter, she decides to stop the encounter and later goes to the police, probably after talking with her parents, and he is charged with the crime of the SA. And that's where we got involved. This was not my case. I was helping a friend. And he was faced with the possibility of spending 10, 15 years in jail over what he thought was a consensual situation. The prosecution presented it as a situation where she was obviously too drunk. She could not give consent. My thought is, if he was drinking as well, then he was no more capable of giving consent than she was. If she had no responsibility for her actions, he likewise didn't have responsibility for his action. Okay. The official version from their standpoint that the state would have presumed and would have presented is his drinking was a voluntary choice. It's the same kind of prosecution talking point when you're charged with a DWI or DUI. If you were drunk driving down the road, this was a voluntary situation. You put yourself in that situation so that anything happens as a result of your drinking and driving was your fault. So if you were drinking and you had sex that was non-consensual, you chose to be drunk. It is not a defense for you to say, I was drunk, just like she was drunk. I have never liked this situation. What we never got into is whether, well, obviously he wasn't that drunk, or he would not been able to perform, meaning if he was so drunk, he would have not been able to perform in this situation. Whereas a woman could either way, because she is not required to be not having knowledge of the situation to have sex. What also was not explored was whether, him being a taller, a more athletic build, and her being a smaller, lighter female, we never got into how many drinks or whether she would have had to been drunker if they were having drink side by side. She would have obviously been drunker because of her smaller size and stature. There was no toxicology reports to say how drunk she was. Never happened. No toxicology report to say how drunk he was. That never happened. We never got into that. The problem with this is he's facing a lot of years in prison, and it was in a rather backwards rural county, which would not have looked favorable upon a black male having relations with a white female. The outcome would not have been very favorable to him, and he would have had to be digging himself out of the hole from the very beginning. So unfortunately for him, the plea arrangement kept him out of jail, but he has to register as an offender from this point onwards. And it was quite upsetting to watch because there is no good way out of this. I have thought that I should advocate for every fraternity on every college campus. Every male group should have a carbonless copy form whereby the woman and the man both sign and say, I know what I'm doing, I've had a number of drinks, and I know the other's been drinking, we've both been drinking, and that I am having consensual sex, and we can both sign the form. Now, some would argue that that would take all of the romance and excitedness out of the situation.
Sure.
My response to that would be, if they were really in the mood, this wouldn't slow things down. And if they weren't in the mood, if the person couldn't answer, could not sign, could not understand what they were writing or signing, then everyone should stop. Is it worth spending the rest of your life with an SX moniker by your name, having to register in every county that you live, or spending time in a penitentiary for having consensual relations? It is not worth that. The fun of having college encounters is not worth having the rest of your life destroyed. For both parties. So unfortunately for this young man, he is going to be having to be monitored the rest of his life for having a consensual encounter where someone changed their mind in the middle of it, and he got charged with the felony. So I can't say that I'm happy with the situation. I'm certainly not happy with the result, and I know he wasn't. But this is in that one area where both parties are having the relations. Both have been drinking, and later one claims, I couldn't have consented. The male is not able to claim that. The male is not able to use the fact that he was drunk to the same level that the female's drunk. It is a completely skewed and a completely diametric opposed result for the same situation. So there's no good answer to this, and it's just something that you have to watch out for. So you should always talk to your children before they go off to college. Don't let the situation happen. Don't ever let it happen, because you're going to be stuck with the results. In so many ways, they're going to be bad. So, y'all, have a good day. Love y'all.
Josie could not consent. How is it that Josie could not consent, but Jake could?
Go back and watch the video. Please go back and watch the video, because I want y'all to go point by point with me so you can see how a boy mom who upholds patriarchy makes up fucking scenarios to protect her son from scenarios and situations where he will not come out favorably. And rightfully so, right? All right, go back and watch the video. Please, just pause right here. Go back and watch the video because I have some notes. All right, here we go. First of all, let's just keep in mind that poster is talking about the story of Josie, the woman, because that's the prevalent issue. That's the prevalent issue. Okay? Not the only issue, but the prevalent issue. And so that story is about Josie. It's about a woman. That story is an effort to change the habit of intending to go out, get drunk, and get someone else drunk, and y'all hook up. That's the whole point. Don't do that. That's not a good plan. All right? So that's what that story is about. Because the woman is a prevalent issue in that situation. All right? That story also is talking to the woman, by the way. Josie now knows that she cannot give consent when she's drunk. So Josie, when you plan to go out and have the cuddles and the excitement, don't get drunk. Because if you get drunk, you can't consent. Okay? Boom. Second issue I want to address is she says her barometer, because the poster was clear, Josie is drunk. Her barometer is passed out, incapacitated, forced. That's the whole point of this fucking poster. Boom. Is to let you know the limit is drunk. Not passed out, not throwing up, not incoherent, not flat out no, saying no and being forced. No, that's not where we're going to start the conversation. The conversation, if she is drunk, she's at the limit. She can't consent. Okay? That's the first thing. Because as a boy mom, I teach enthusiastic consent. Enthusiastic consent. Right? Right? I also teach, and you all have seen on my channel, right, on this TikTok, about consent. If you can't get consent when you not in your right state of mind, and that's in many situations, not just drunk, not just high. If you're loopier than a fruitcake, no consent's given. Okay? There's plenty of scenarios where you are, as a minor, you can't consent. You can't consent as a minor. Plenty of scenarios where consent, right, can't be given. And it's not, the limit, the point of the no consent isn't passed out. Okay? The other issue I want to address is, first of all, she made up a scenario. No, I'm getting ahead of myself. She wonders why Jake can be arrested for committing a crime while he's drunk. That's basically what she's asking. Like, how come he was drunk, she was drunk? Yes, drunk people commit crimes all the time in this society. In this society, being drunk does not mean you're not going to get arrested for this crime. Okay? So let's start with the things that we do know. Right? We know that people are drunk, people get arrested. Okay? That doesn't absolve you from the crime that you're committing. And this poster is letting you know right now is she's drunk. Because this story is about Josie. If she's drunk, she can't give consent. Okay? All right? Okay? Now, if you want to create another poster about Jake and how Jake can't give consent when he's drunk, HP has a printer that has, they'll mail you ink. They'll even mail you paper, okay? And you can get to printing those posters, right? So that it's fair. So that it's fair. People who are printing posters about women who are being taken advantage of in society at large is unfair. Because that's what we're addressing. We're not addressing Jake's drunkenness. We're addressing Josie's drunkenness because it's the prevalent issue. Okay? Next issue I want to address. Are they saying a man who is intoxicated can give legal consent? When did they say that on the poster? When did the poster even address that? That was weird. Can the situation be reversed? Of course. Drunk people can't give consent. Drunk people can't give consent. That's the law. But this poster, these are not new laws, right? Drunk people not giving consent is not a new law. It's already on the books. This poster is not about a new law. This poster is attempting to address the prevalent issue of Josie being drunk and not being able to consent to this hookup. That's the prevalent issue that the poster is addressing. So the laws are already on the books. You know, we don't have to petition anything. Like I said, you can make some posters for Jake. 5, we're crying about equal rights. Not a woman, a black woman, mocking equal rights. 6, that's not fair. What's not fair? The scenario that you made up? Okay, your made up scenario is not fair. What are you going to do about it? Would you like to make up a scenario that is fair? I'll tell you what, you don't have to make up a scenario that is fair. All you have to do is know that people who are drunk cannot give consent, and not just for cuddles and snookily lookies, okay? There's a myriad of things you can't give consent for when you are drunk or under the influence, okay? All right? A lot of things you can't give consent for, okay? She titled her joint Lopsided Law. She just made it up. And that's my whole point. What are you doing? Are you defending one of your sons that already does this? Or are you defending the possibility that he might do this and you want to get ahead of it? Like, what is your goal here? What's the goal? Because the goal of the poster was Josie not getting date snatched. That was the goal of the poster. It was so Jake can be like, hey, Josie, I know we both drunk, but let's wait till we're both in our right state of mind. You know, that's what the poster wants Jake to do. And the poster wants Josie to be like, nah, I'm not going to go out and drink like get drunk because I'm feeling frisky tonight. I'm feeling frisky tonight, so I'm not going to drink too much. I'm not going to smoke too much. I'm not going to be a raving lunatic because I want to consent to tonight's foolishness. That's what the poster's about. So that was a boy mom upholding patriarchy. And that's what it looks like sometimes. Here you are. Much success to us all.
If you see it, kindly put your thoughts, your comments, your opinion, your suggestion down in the comment section. I thank you all so much for sticking around to this point. I hope you enjoyed this video. What is your take on this conversation we are having in today? Of course, I said earlier in this video, we are talking about law, and we're talking about why are you charging the other person or the male that was drunk, why are you charging him of rape if both of them were both drunk? So now for me, because I don't know anything about law, I will just give my own opinion based on my own knowledge or what I would do or what I think in my own opinion. Okay, I'm just trying to put myself in the shoe. I went out on a date or I'm with an opposite sex and we are drinking. I got drunk, which I can't get drunk anyway, but let's assume I got drunk and I don't know what happens after then. And the next day I noticed that, you know, somebody went down there. Of course, I'm going to press charges. I'm going to report you because if you later tell me you are also drunk, blah, blah. See, I don't know how it is, but you can't tell me you're drunk to do it because if I was drunk, I in my own mind, I feel like you took advantage of me, even though, because if you listen to most of the stitches, and especially the other male that was talking, he was saying that you had a choice not to drink so much. And in fact, having, intercourse with somebody is also a choice. So if you're drunk, you should sleep, vomit, or do something, but not to, for you to, your thing is standing to do it. Definitely you have that little knowledge. You knew what you were doing. For me, that is what I would think. And of course, you're guilty for doing it, knowing that I am drunk. I don't know what I'm doing. I can't remember anything. I just saw that, okay, probably somebody was there. And that was why I knew that you were the last person I was with. Or probably I woke up in your room. Definitely, I will charge you. Like, you're going to jail. But that's my own opinion. So I really don't understand whereby the other person is drunk. Blah, blah. It can be the other way around as well. It can be the other way around. Just as if drinking and driving, as you're drunk and you're driving, you knew that you were opening that car. You knew. Sometimes when you're drunk, sometimes you actually know what you're doing. I've not gotten drunk before. Let me just say tipsy, or you kind of know what you're doing, but then you kind of don't know what you're doing, but you really knew what you were doing. If that makes sense. Anyways, I'd like to know your own thoughts about this video down in the comment section. And thank you all so much for sticking around to this point. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and share and subscribe. And kindly turn on the post notification bell so you can get notified once I upload another interesting video like this one. And of course, I will see you all in my next video. Bye.